Call to order. We'll have the recitation of the Pledge of Allegiance by the District Teacher of the Year of the 1,300 wonderful teachers in Edison School District, Douglas Pissarro from John Adams Middle School.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Certificate for the Teacher of the Year and also an American flag.
Dr. Gillen?
Here.
Mrs. Maroney?
Here.
Mrs. Ward?
Here.
Mr. Shi?
Here.
Mrs. Madiker?
Here.
Mr. Errico?
Here.
Mrs. Peng?
Here.
Mr. Brescher?
Here.
Mr. DeStefano?
Here.
All present.
My glasses. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this Act, the Edison Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the Board of Education administrative offices. Copies of these notices were sent to the Home News Tribune and Star Ledger on January 5th, 2017. The public may participate at all regular meetings in accordance with the bylaws and applicable state regulations. And now we would just ask, we have a special recognition of the board member who has passed away, Deborah Ains, and we would just ask the husband, Ronald Ains, to come forth to the microphone, and also the sons, Josh, who just graduated, I believe it's a university, Rochester Tech, and also Jacob, who's in the 11th grade, if you just come up here. Our board secretary will read the
Resolution dated this date. Whereas on March 14th, 2017, the community noted with sorrow the passing of Deborah A. Ains. And whereas Deborah A. Ains was a member of the Board of Education in Edison for over 10 years, and whereas Deborah A. Ains served as vice president and also served on various committees during her years as a board member, and whereas Deborah A. Ains, affectionately and respectfully known to her fellow board members as Debbie, was a person who exemplified community involvement, diligent work effort, sincere pride in the school district and in the community. Now, therefore, be resolved that the Edison Board of Education presents this resolution to the Ains family in commemoration of and appreciation for Debbie's outstanding, diligent, and dedicated service to the students, families, and staff of the Edison Public School District. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be recorded in the permanent minutes of the Edison Board of Education.
Motion to adopt.
Okay, Jerry Shee and Shivy.
Mr. DeStefano?
Yes.
Mr. Brescher?
Yes.
Mrs. Peng?
Yes.
Mr. Errico?
Yes.
Mrs. Madiker?
Yes.
Mr. Shi?
Yes.
Mrs. Ward?
Yes.
Mrs. Maroney?
Yes.
Dr. Healy?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Now, Dr. O'Malley will begin the teacher recognition for this year, for 2016-17.
Thank you, Dr. Heelan. Each month, we set aside some time at our board meetings to highlight some of what we call the hidden heroes in our district, people that aren't necessarily in the spotlight. However, tonight, we are here to celebrate and honor some of our teachers who are more in the spotlight throughout our classrooms throughout the district. So tonight we have the privilege to recognize all of our outstanding 2017 Teachers of the Year. While all of our teachers deserve some sort of an award for their hard work that they put in every day, we love to show an appreciation for those teachers who are exceptional. And it's clear tonight that we have greatness and exceptional teachers among us. So all those educators here tonight that we honor, I want to offer my personal congratulations on this very significant achievement. It is very, very much appreciated by everyone here on the board and our community of your dedication to our students who you inspire every single day. So to start off, I would ask Ms. Sandra Slatter, who is the principal of Washington School, to come forth to begin the presentation.
Thank you, Dr. O'Malley. Mrs. Heidi Frustel is a true definition of a great teacher. She maintains a positive classroom and a well-managed learning environment. It is evident that each of her first graders is welcomed, validated, and an asset to her classroom. She sees every child as teachable and works endlessly to create exciting lessons tailored to their needs. Her wonderful disposition and impeccable work ethic have helped her create a warm, loving, and productive classroom year after year. Mrs. Frustel is held in high regard with her colleagues. She is professional, dedicated, and creative, yet seeks no recognition or praise. Washington School is proud to call Mrs. Heidi Frustel our Teacher of the Year. Thank you, Mrs. Frustel. I will now like to call up Mr. Stephen Preville.
Motivating, engaging, involved, passionate, and respected are just a few words that come to mind when reflecting on why Mrs. Picton has been selected to be Ben Franklin School's Teacher of the Year. Mrs. Picton started her teaching career at Ben Franklin School 22 years ago. She has inspired hundreds of students that have crossed her path. She has a genuine love for her students. At the end of each year, her students not only consider her their teacher, but their friend as well. Mrs. Picton is a teacher leader in her classroom, on her grade level, and in the building she loves so much. She is almost always in a small group, meeting the needs of her students in any way necessary to reach them. She is great at finding resources and presents lessons in engaging ways. It is her priority to see her students grow throughout the year. Mrs. Picton truly cares about curriculum and puts in many hours as she brings it to life. She does this through extensive planning, creating flip charts, visual presentations, and continues to find the technology and the resources to reach the students for the 21st century. She makes learning fun and organizes community outreach projects and trips. Mrs. Picton is dedicated to Edison students, and she has taught in the Summer Literacy Academy, the Ben Franklin Academy, and has attended Camp Bernie. Mrs. Picton serves on the CCC committee and is an integral part of our INRS committee. She helps coordinate our Pajama Jam to honor Dr. Seuss and organizes our Reading with the Stars and Book Swap Bingo. Mrs. Picton is the teacher that is constantly reflecting on her practice and finding ways to improve the teaching and learning experience. She attends numerous workshops inside and outside of the district. She is a true professional and honors the word teacher. It is no wonder to anyone who knows Mrs. Picton as to why she has been selected as Ben Franklin School's Teacher of the Year. Congratulations to Mrs. Picton. And this is for you. It is now my honor to bring up Mrs. Hoffman, Principal of John Marshall School.
It is with great pride that John Marshall School has selected Mrs. Jones as the recipient of the 2016-2017 Teacher of the Year. She is a passionate member of our third grade team who is an innovative thinker and is exceptionally creative with her lessons. Mrs. Jones uses any and all resources available to create a vibrant, collaborative, and student-centered learning community. She is a true professional, and her passion for teaching has never wavered. This year, she is mentoring a first-year teacher and sharing her knowledge. She communicates with parents and encourages them to come into her classroom and be an active participant in the learning process. Mrs. Jones runs her classroom with clear and concise expectations and holds her learners to a high standard. When you walk into Mrs. Jones's classroom, you can hear her refer to her students as ladies and gents. These simple words get her learners on task, and the students know that she cares about them. When Mrs. Jones teaches her students to strive for excellence, to show respect for one another, to put themselves to reach their individual potential. Her students are always eager to participate in projects, STEM activities, and special lessons with their first grade buddies. Mrs. Jones co-chairs student council and has worked tirelessly to instill civic pride in our learners. The student council, along with other students, collect materials for the animal shelters, made pins for autism awareness, and collected crayons and coloring books for the needy children. Student council has also collected money for CARES and No Kid Hungry. Both are organizations to help struggling families. This is why John Marshall School has selected Carrie Jones as their 2016-2017 Teacher of the Year. Congratulations. At this time, I would like to call up Mr. Duggan, the principal of Menlo Park Elementary School. Thank you.
Good evening. Sarah Brady, or Mrs. Brady, is the warmest and kindest person I've ever met, both to her students, her parents, and to everyone at school. I don't think anyone has ever witnessed her ever getting mad, ever. Her students adore her, and they in turn do their very best every day. Simply put, she gets kids, and her passion for their success is unmatched. She has created an amazing classroom culture where her students have fun and they're excited about learning every single day. And of course, Sarah contributes greatly to our school and is involved in all kinds of activities, attends all the events, and the students just couldn't be more excited to walk through her door every day. So congratulations, Menlo Park School Teacher of the Year, Sarah Brady. Congratulations. And now, the principal, James Monroe, Linda Zapatisny.
Amy Fuentes started at James Monroe in January 2004, splitting her time between pull-out first and fourth grade. But from the start, she knew intuitively that the expectation for her students was to provide the best possible learning environment. So Amy started pushing in with her first graders almost immediately to the Gen Ed classroom. By the following September, all resource rooms had been collapsed, and in-class support teams, as they were called then, presently ICR, were formed throughout the school, placing Mrs. Fuentes in both fourth and fifth grades as part of two different teams. Looking back on her observations from that first full year, the following phrases were articulated to describe Amy's classroom setting: learner-centered, positive supports, individualized instruction, collaborative teaching, positive working relationships. All of these traits that are an integral part of instructional practice aligned with 21st century learning were in evidence in her room more than 13 years ago, during a time when she did not even have a common prep with either grade level in which she taught. The following year, Amy became a full-time inclusion teacher in fourth grade, where she and her co-teacher created a warm and welcoming environment, employing a philosophy to start where students are and move forward, each of them, from that spot. Because of this, learners who came to her as non-readers blossomed in her care. In 2007, Amy moved to 5th grade, and with the exception of a 2-year return to 4th, became part of an integral group of collegial and professional grade level team. And this is her ICR partner, Rochelle Schwartz, who I asked to come up and help me with this. As far back as 2010, Mrs. Fuentes advocated for more training on our then smartboards and other computer applications, as well as laptops for all of her students, which she didn't get. She saw this technology as a way to really tap into their individual learning styles and needs. Amy's a voracious reader and knows more about literature for young adults than anyone I know. She developed a list of authentic texts correlating with the 5th grade science and social studies units, and also created an online database listing all of the books that were available in her personal and classroom libraries, allowing a better match between reader and books based on their level, interest, genre, or author. 7 years ago, Amy took part in the MARE Institute, which stands for Marine Activities, Resources, and Education at Rutgers University. She brought what she learned back to her students, and along with Rochelle, they put together a PBL, and it resulted in a class presentation of theirs at Cook College that spring. Science is really Amy's passion project, and she finds every opportunity to participate in professional development through online courses, workshops, district-conducted in-services, as well as attending an NSTA conference, Next Generation Science Standards Prep, and serving on the District Science Curriculum Committee. Amy has already initiated her continued professional development by requesting and being granted permission to attend the New Jersey Science Convention and the 50th Annual Reading and Writing Conference at Rutgers University for the 2017-18 school year. When I asked her students why she deserves this honor, almost all mentioned her sense of humor, but more importantly, her kindness and genuine interest in each of them as individuals. Many also talked about her teaching beyond the curriculum and providing life lessons. To sum it up, she has an expectation for her learners greater than their own and wants them to succeed to infinity and beyond. In writing her letter of nomination, one of her colleagues stated that Amy is unique. To know her is to love her, and she always has a funny story to share, both in and out of the classroom. Word at James Monroe is, if you're having a bad day, go find Amy. However, this same trait can sometimes get her into a little trouble at faculty meetings, sending her to the timeout chair for a little break. The James Monroe school community intentionally does not differentiate between special and general education teachers. But there are those teachers who are certainly special, and Amy Fuentes is one of them. I'm very proud to work alongside such a genuine educator. Congratulations. It is now my pleasure to call up Ms. Sarah Bright.
Good evening. Lisa Rosenfeld is Lindenau School's Teacher of the Year for the 2016-2017 school year. She is Lindenau School's reading specialist, but I consider her the Lindenau School cheerleader. And that's because Lisa wants to make sure that every student at Lindenau School enjoys coming each day as much as she does. That's why Lisa can often be found planning fun and educational family nights, hanging out with the Eaglets, a high school an Edison High mentoring club that she started, or thinking of new school spirit days like Dress for Success. But most important, Lisa is a master teacher. She works tirelessly to make sure that all of her students are successful. She knows them inside and out. You can ask her any child's reading level, and she knows it off the top of her head. Lindenau School would not be the same without her, so congratulations on being the Teacher of the Year for Lindenau School. I'd like to call up Mrs. Cirillo from Woodbrook School.
see you first.
What do you get when you take two individuals who are both talented, creative, innovative, and dedicated professionals in their own right and put them together as co-teachers? You get model classroom instruction. Mrs. Annette O'Hara and Mrs. Lindsay LaForge were each nominated as individuals. However, the selection committee could not break the tie because both teachers were equally phenomenal. Mrs. O'Hara has graced Woodbrook with her intelligence, enthusiasm, innovation, and humor since she began as a special education teacher at Woodbrook in 2011. She impressed us from the start with her catchy and differentiated demo lesson. Mrs. O'Hara has shown a true commitment to meeting the needs of all different learners from her tailored lesson plans in both her multi-grade resource room and as a second-grade co-teacher. Mrs. O'Hara plans daily with her co-teacher, searching for the most effective and engaging ideas to reach each and every one of her learners. She enhances the profession as a curriculum writer, a model teacher in a lab site classroom, a professional development institute presenter, and an ed camp presenter. She has served as an advisor of student council, computer club, and Odyssey of the Mind. Mrs. O'Hara believes that her true calling is to remind students every day that they matter and that they have the power to accomplish their dreams. She celebrates every accomplishment of each of her children, scaffolding them to their next level. She represents the very best qualities in a teacher. Mrs. LaForge brought her optimism, compassion, open mind, and intelligence to Woodbrook in 2012. As early as her demo lesson, Mrs. LaForge collected exit tickets telling students she needed to reflect on how well she taught the lesson. A true community builder and growth mindset practitioner, Mrs. LaForge begins each and every year with a positive classroom climate in which children learn to recognize the best in themselves and in one another. That is accomplished through the weekly publication of classroom books in which students highlight the very best qualities in their classmates, through daily face-to-face and virtual collaboration, and through their hip-to-hip conversations in which children share their compliments and their next steps with their learning partners. She has spearheaded autism awareness each April since her arrival at Woodbrook, raising money through fundraisers and sharing resources with staff. Always a part of the team, Mrs. LaForge has been the advisor of our newspaper club, Readers Theater Club, Around the World Club, Arts and Crafts Club. She has always supported the students at school events such as Spelling Bee, Geography Bee, Science Fair, as well as attending private school functions off campus. Mrs. LaForge enhances the teaching profession as a mentor for new teachers, a curriculum writer, a model teacher in a lab site classroom, a professional development institute presenter, an ed camp presenter, a collaborator at the ECET2 with other teachers, leaders in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. She reflects on each of her lessons, conversations, and interactions with children, parents, and educators as an ever-evolving, soulful individual and student advocate. Mrs. LaForge is truly a lifelong learner who brings her passion and compassion to the classroom each and every day. It is an honor to acknowledge both Mrs. O'Hara and Mrs. LaForge as Teachers of the Year. Congratulations. Thank you, Kathy. And I'd like to call up Eve Kingsbury, Assistant Principal of Lincoln School.
Hi, I'm Timothy Hart. I'm the principal of Lincoln School. I am excited and proud to introduce Brianne Johnson, a third grade teacher at Lincoln and our Teacher of the Year this year. The many nomination forms that were submitted for Brianne Johnson all made similar statements about why she deserved this honor and why she was such an amazing teacher. Brianne is an excellent teacher, a reflective practitioner, a leader in her classroom and in the greater school community. She's a friend, a colleague, and always a learner. Brianne is a teacher leader who has led PD workshops for her colleagues and has also worked to mentor new teachers in the building. It is with great pride that I introduce Brianne Johnson as Lincoln Elementary School's Teacher of the Year. Congratulations, Brianne. And I would like to now introduce Diane Wilton from MLK.
Dr. O'Malley, Dr. Heelan, and members of the Board of Education, I thank you for affording us this opportunity to recognize our Teachers of the Year and congratulate all of those who are being honored this evening. And with that, it is with great honor that I introduce our Teacher of the Year, Ms. Joelle Vitale. Her dedication to learning, her passion for teaching, and her compassion toward her students truly makes her a role model for all educators. Her can-do attitude is seen through her membership on the Academy staff, her facilitation of the St. Barnabas Mobile Burn Unit that comes to our school every year, her leadership as an advisor in our MLK TV newsroom broadcasts, her leadership and facilitation of the annual MLK's Fun Field Day, and without her, we probably would not have had one the past few years, and her role on numerous committees, her willingness to share during her INRS team, her willingness to go and do and have that can-do attitude during our PBSIS, Positive Behavior in Sports, Positive Behavior Supports in Schools Universal team, and she is a main component of our tech team. A lifelong learner, Ms. Vitale, who once sought out the expertise of our veteran teachers and her colleagues, is now a teacher whom her colleagues seek out for her guidance. She is an inspiration to the entire Martin Luther King Elementary learning community. Thus, it is with great pleasure that I congratulate Ms. Joelle Vitale as Martin Luther King Elementary School's Teacher of the Year. Congratulations. And now I would like to introduce Ms. Toni Taglerini, Vice President of JMP.
Ms. Malachi is an extremely dedicated and inspirational teacher at JMP. She empowers students who use their voices, make complex choices, self-assess, and be active learners. Each time you walk into her classroom, you see student-centered learning with an emphasis on preparing each student for their colleges and careers of their choice. Outside the classroom, Ms. Malachi takes on many leadership roles that help the entire school community. We thank you, Ms. Malachi, for your commitment, hard work, and ongoing care of our students. Thank you.
So I'm honored to have this opportunity to shine a light on Herbert Hoover Middle School's Teacher of the Year, Mrs. Brittany Shapako. I could read a list pages long with the many things Mrs. Shapako does both in and beyond the classroom. Those things would demonstrate her knowledge, her professionalism, and her dedication to her craft. However, I would like everyone to indulge me in a little exercise. Please close your eyes and think back to when you were a child. I would like you to think of that one adult who taught you right from wrong, always picked you up when you were down, believed in you no matter the odds, and who in the end gave you the confidence and support you needed to be the person you are today. Please open your eyes. To her students, Mrs. Shapako is that person. Thank you, Mrs. Shapako, for all you do for our students, our parents, and the entire Herbert Hoover Middle School community. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce Mrs. Emden from Thomas Jefferson Middle School.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. It is no surprise Mrs. Dettelbach was selected as Thomas Jefferson Middle School's Teacher of the Year. She embodies the characteristics that makes her an outstanding educator. As a physical education and health teacher, Mrs. Dettelbach works tirelessly to create a challenging and nurturing environment for her students. In her classroom, she delivers lessons that are comprehensive, relevant, engaging, and rigorous. All students feel safe to share their ideas and learn to respect and listen to others. She creates a sense of community and belonging where each student is aware is aware that he or she is an integral part of the classroom. Mrs. Dettelbach is defined as a great teacher because she inspires students and her colleagues with her passion for learning. Her colleagues in the PE and health department describe her as the rock. By providing ideas to create more student-centered and technology-friendly lessons, her peers are encouraged to take risk. She constantly renews herself as a professional on her quest to provide students with the highest quality of education possible. She has no fear of learning new teaching strategies or incorporating new technologies into the lessons, and also seems to be the one person who's willing to share what she's learned with her colleagues. Her leadership and professionalism goes beyond the classroom. She presented at the annual Parent University Night. She's a member of our Avid Site team. She facilitates intramural sports. She coaches the girls' softball team. She's an advisor to Feel Up to Play 60 Wellness Club. She facilitates at Camp PLCs. She presented at the District PD Day, and so much more. Not only is Mrs. Dettelbach respected for her teaching and learning, but she's also the resident travel agent in the building. Every extended break, we look forward to hearing about her trips around the world. We live vicariously through her when she shares her travels to Greece, Spain, Napa Valley, etc., just to name a few. There is not a day that Mrs. Dettelbach is not smiling or willing to lend a helping hand. We are fortunate to have her be a part of our school community. All of these qualities paint a clear picture of why Mrs. Lisa Dettelbach truly deserves to be Thomas Jefferson Middle School's Teacher of the Year. Congratulations. At this time, I'd like to call to the podium Tony Tagliarini for JMI.
Miss Landrovi is an outstanding educator at JMI. She's a real-life superhero who encourages all students to reach their full potential and motivates everyone around her to be the best they can be. Miss Landrovi's positive attitude and dedication to every child she serves is truly amazing. Her never-ending efforts to enrich the lives of both her colleagues and students have left a huge impact on our school community. We thank you for your commitment to the craft, our community, and most importantly, our children. Forgot this last. Please welcome Mr. Charles Ross from Edison High School.
Good evening. The best writers in history connect across all types of readers and broaden their worldview. Shakespeare did it in his Globe Theater with the elites and the royalty up high and the hoi polloi down on the floor. Our own bard, Miss Diane Frey, does that in the classroom day after day. Whoever you are, she reaches you and gets you to get that you can do more, that you can understand this piece of literature, that you can make that rhetorical argument, that your pen or your MacBook can be as powerful a sword as anyone's. My first year, before I'd even started with class, she was on maternity leave. I hadn't even met her. And the parents of our salutatorian tried to get me to have her come back early. That's just a sign of how much she's valued. Her lists and accomplishments are far too long to do in this assembly, but trust me, they are impressive. But when her students leave the Boulevard of Eagles, they're as worldly as somebody departing from Stratford-on-Avon. A great colleague, a true professional, a true artist of the classroom, a wonderful person, It's an honor to have her on our staff. What's great about Edison High? Ms. Diane Frey, our Teacher of the Year 2016-2017. Please accept this small token from the Edison High administration and PTSO. And I believe I'm calling up Ms. Gail Polikowski from our host, J.P. Stevens.
Passionate, precise, compassionate, supportive, creative. These are just a few words that describe this amazing math teacher who sees the bigger picture and is able to guide students over and through that math wall of learning that students so often hit during their high school years. Some students unfortunately begin to struggle as the math becomes more difficult each year in high school. Even for those who have a knack for math, they begin to lose some confidence. Mr. Alfonso has the ability to put them at ease. He uses his knowledge of physics, his skill in graphic arts, and his interest in photography to show the application of the mathematics and allows students to understand the concepts. He has a wonderful rapport with his students, which is where all good learning begins, with strong student-teacher relationships. He is completely engaged in the school community. You can see him at a volleyball game, a guitar performance, the theater, the play, and he advises the math league. Wherever his students are, there he is, supporting them every step of the way. He is a quiet man. His quiet ways of supporting students both in and out of the classroom, of challenging students to reach their potential, of encouraging students to take risks and work hard, have a loud impact on the students and our school. And that is why Mr. Richard Alfonso is the J.P. Stevens Teacher of the Year. And back by popular demand, Ms. Toni Tagliarini.
Ms. Mindler is an amazing speech teacher at FDR who always puts our students first. She improves children's lives every day. Ms. Mindler ensures that she meets students' individual needs and challenges students to reach their full potential. She not only impacts our students, but our whole school community with her true professionalism, positive attitude, and eagerness to help and support others. Thank you, Ms. Mindler, for being an excellent teacher that continues to be an inspiration to us all. We adore you. Thanks for coming up. Last one, Joan. Okay. And please welcome Joan Valentine.
You coming?
Oh, thank you very much.
For you.
I'm hungry.
I'm good, I'm glad. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Dr. O'Malley, Dr. Heelan, and members of the Board of Education for providing tonight's opportunity to recognize the 2016-2017 Teachers of the Year. I stand here before you filled with an overwhelming sense of pride, knowing that tonight's honorees are the most hardworking teachers, the most committed teachers, the most talented teachers, and Edison's best teachers. To be able to speak on behalf of the best, Mr. Doug Pissarro, is an honor for which I am extremely grateful. So before I go any further, I'd like to thank Mr. Pissarro for being who he is and doing what he does. Thank you. I'd also like to thank the Jams family for joining in tonight's celebration. Thank you all. As a technology teacher, Mr. Pissarro is in a category all his own. Whether having students launch rockets in the parking lot, one day I actually found one by my car, build robots that are specially coded to carry all sorts of cool things, or time distances using BMX bikes, Mr. Pissarro is the epitome of a teacher who has mastered the integration of 21st century skills. He constantly reflects upon his instruction and makes changes to suit the needs of students while also creating innovative, rigorous challenges that keep things current, motivational, and engaging. His passion is to create an experience unlike any students have experienced before, and anyone who has ever visited his classroom would agree he reaches new heights in this area daily. Mr. Pissarro is not only a dynamic teacher, but also a committed member of the JAMS community as director of the school's yearbook and coach of the cross-country team, where he either runs or bikes alongside his students to motivate them. He has also served as club advisor for numerous clubs, including woodworking, photo and video, and fishing. There isn't much he won't do for the school community, unless, of course, it interferes with his top priority of being the best dad to Emily and Daniel, or husband to his wife, Gina. He coaches softball for his daughter and baseball for his son, volunteers with the Cub Scouts, and has participated in the tri-state trek from Boston to New York to raise money for ALS. On top of everything else he does, Mr. Pissarro serves as the school's technology coordinator. He works closely with students and staff to ensure all technology is up and running. He fixes, tinkers, reconditions, and reconfigures devices like no one else. And when anyone else might be stressed beyond belief over a device that might not be working correctly or a bulb that needs to be replaced, he approaches every task with a laugh and a sense of calm, of which puts everyone at ease. Mr. Pissarro's reach extends beyond the classroom. He has received honors that include the 2005 Technology Teacher Excellence Award and the 2006 Technology Teacher Excellence Award. He was part of a two-person committee who designed the current technology curriculum used by all 4 middle schools. When the district introduced the Lego Mindstorm EV3, Mr. Pissarro was so excited that he immediately began to experiment and push the boundaries of his students. Clear evidence of this surfaced recently when 2 of his students programmed their robot to solve the Rubik's Cube in 2 minutes. Without a doubt, Mr. Pissarro deserves the honor of the 2016-17 Edison Township School District's Teacher of the Year. He is the type of person who makes such an impact on everyone around him. His colleagues appreciate the support he offers. His students appreciate that he makes learning fun. I appreciate his reliability, ingenuity, sense of humor, dedication, and willingness to go above and beyond each and every day to make JAMS a great place for teaching and learning. I love that he starts most conversations with, "I have an idea," and actually still asks permission, even though he knows I would never turn him down. If I ask him to do something, no matter how crazy an idea it might be, he always answers, "Sure," and gets right on it. But most of all, I love that he always puts his students first, no matter what. Instead of making school a place where students have to go, he makes his classroom a place where students can't wait to go. They know they will have fun and that every day will be a unique experience they won't forget. At JAMS, we often use the word "jamazing" to describe people, places, or events that are awe-inspiring or bigger than life. Congratulations, Mr. Pissarro. You truly are jamazing. And now I'd like to introduce the John Adams Middle School and Edison Township School District's Teacher of the Year, Mr. Doug Pissarro.
Thank you.
You did do all
I did do it. Normally, I don't really prepare stuff, but I figured tonight I should. I am truly honored not only to be named John Adams Middle School Teacher of the Year, but the District Teacher of the Year for Edison Township Schools. I would first like to congratulate all the teachers who were named Teacher of the Year for their schools, as well as those nominated. They are all well deserving of this prestigious title. I would like to thank the Board of Education,
Dr. O'Malley and Mrs. DeLuca for all the STEM-based projects that I get to have so much fun with in my classroom. Mrs. Valentine, Mr. Kelly, the John Adams staff and students for their support, and of course my family. I'd like to particularly thank my parents, Beverly and Jean, who were the first to suggest that I become a teacher, more specifically an industrial arts teacher. Yes, it's been that long since I've been teaching. Without their guidance, I would not be here today. My wonderful children, Emily, who's 10, Daniel, who's 7, for being my best and favorite students. And most of all, my biggest fan and supporter, my wife of 13 years, Gina, who always encouraged me to be the best that I can be. Ever since I was a child, I was always interested in how things work. I would always take things apart. My parents will attest to this. And most of the time, I would get them back together without any extra pieces. My father always encouraged my passion by having me help him with all sorts of projects around the house. We'd work on our cars, take care of the property. We even built our garage together. As a matter of fact, we were working together in the yard yesterday. He taught me much of what I know today. To this day, I always consult him when getting involved in my many projects, and believe me, there are a lot. I make my own honey-do list. Because of him, I like to think that I'm following in the footsteps with the way I am raising my children. Like him, everything I do is for them. My father is my true mentor, and for that I am humbled and grateful. Teaching has always come easy to me. I never thought it would, but it seems natural for me to share my experiences and my knowledge with my students. It's something within me. I must have inherited this from my mother, who was an exceptional teacher of 33 years, most of her career in Paterson, New Jersey. It gives me great joy and satisfaction to share my knowledge and skills with all the students that come through my door, whether it's in my tech class or with any of the sports that I have coached throughout my career. I find great pride in sharing my triumphs as well as my failures with my students. They always seem to get a kick out of my stories, even when I tell them over and over again. I like to think that as a teacher, I am firm but fair. I push my students to do their best and make them earn the grades they receive. Because I've set high goals for my students, I find they perform to a higher level and are not afraid to take chances and try new things or different ways of doing things. I often tell them that there is no one way to solve the problems that they encounter in class, or in life for that matter, and encourage them to come up with different ways to reach the outcomes that they are looking for. Respect and manners are two things that I take seriously. It is important that the students understand that they need to respect themselves as well as others, and of course, to address teachers appropriately. Many times I find that the students struggle in other classes strive in my class because of the environment that we are in and the way it is structured. We do a lot of problem solving, which is hands-on learning. They get a chance to use all sorts of tools and machines that they don't normally get to use. Sometimes it's the first time they're ever encountering that, and I'm glad that I get to be the one that teaches them. In most cases, this is something that I've not been able to do that they have not been able to do in other classes, and enjoy having some freedom and not getting in trouble for getting out of their seat without permission. One of my goals for my students is to give them the knowledge and skills needed to succeed in their future. I relate my lessons to everyday life, and I feel that the students appreciate that and will be better citizens because of it. They see how passionate I am about my subject, and they feel that they feed off my energy, which gets them excited to learn and try new things. I really do not feel that I've been teaching as long as I have. I can still remember my first day, almost 21 years ago, thinking to myself, what did I just get myself into? Well, today I can say that I'm extremely happy and proud that I became a teacher, and I look forward to the next phase of my career. Thank you for this great honor of District Teacher of the Year. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and Dr. Heelan, now back to you.
Thank you, Ms. Valentine. And congratulations to Douglas Pissarro, the District Teacher of the Year, and to all of the Teachers of the Year in their respective schools. Let's hear a big hand of applause for them. They are the culmination of the education profession, and we're very proud of them. And also certainly the families and the parents who created them for us. We thank them as well. And now we'll just take a 5-minute recess break before we begin the business portion of the meeting. Thank you very much for coming. Commence the meeting again. And first of all, we'll have the motion. We need a motion to approve the minutes for April 19th and 24th, 2017, and the Board Secretary's report. Ms. Maroney and Mr. Shi.
Mr. DiStefano?
I will abstain from the minutes and vote yes on the Secretary's report.
Thank you. Mr. Brescher?
Yes.
Mrs. Peng?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Errico?
Yes.
Mrs. Madiker?
Yes.
Mr. Shi?
Yes.
Mrs. Ward?
Here.
Mr. Roney?
Yes.
Dr. Heelan?
Yes.
So carried.
Okay, now we have public comments on the resolutions only, the resolutions for the agenda. There will be a chance for the public to speak in a few minutes beyond that, in a short time after that. So if anyone wishes to address the resolutions only, public comment, you can come to the microphone, give your name and address. Okay, seeing none, then we'll go on to the resolutions, Roman numeral number 8, 1 to 5, and we need a motion on that. Mr. Errico and Mr. Brescia.
Mr. DiStefano?
Yes.
Mr. Brescher?
Yes.
Mrs. Peng?
Yes.
Mr. Errico?
Yes.
Mrs. Madiker?
Yes.
Mr. Shi?
Yes.
Mrs. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Maroney?
Yes.
Dr. Heelan?
Yes.
All yes.
Next we have announcements by the President. Upcoming meetings will be a board retreat on Saturday, June 17th in the Education Center at 9 a.m. And then there'll be the caucus meeting will be on Wednesday, June 14, 2017 at the Education Center at 7 p.m. The public meeting will be on Monday, June 19, 2017 at Edison High School in the auditorium at 7 p.m. I'd also just like to mention we had a wonderful ceremony on Saturday at 10 o'clock in the pouring rain with the dedication of the sand volleyball court that Joseph Massonet did for the Eagle Scout project, and it was quite an undertaking for him to do, and we almost had a quorum there. We had Beth Maroney and Rich Brescher and Paul DiStefano and myself, and it was a very nice ceremony. He had worked on this quite a bit, and it'll provide for our students a means of relieving stress and in having an enjoyable time when the good weather comes in the fall and in the spring. So congratulations to him. I'd also like to mention that the New Jersey School Board Association has accepted a group session proposal that we had submitted to the New Jersey School Board Association. We didn't start, it was called We Didn't Start the Fire, the Rebirth of the James Monroe Elementary School, which will be scheduled for Wednesday, October 25th, 2017 from 9:30 to 10:30 in room 421. So just want to let everybody be aware of that. And next we have the committee, Township Liaison Committee, Shivi Prasad Madhukar.
The Township Liaison Committee met on April 27th at the Edison Council Chambers. In attendance were Board of Education members Shivi Madhukar, Dr. Heelan, Beth Maroney, Ralph Errico, and Edison Council members Bob Deal and Ajay Patil. We discussed the following items. Number one, a need for a new school and how the town and the Board of Education could collaborate to make this a reality. Following the Woodbridge Township example, where a new school will be constructed without increasing the taxpayer burden. Some areas that were discussed as potential for having a new building include the Kilmer property and Raritan Center. The council has the following items in their priority bucket list. Includes tax relief, traffic situation, and overcrowding in schools. Other items not discussed in detail but continue to hold importance include construction of a new recreation center in Edison. The committee also discussed the importance of having the DPW chair, superintendent, and business administrator present in such meetings, and that the committee should meet at least 4 times in a year. The next meeting is slated for August 10th at 7 p.m. at the Edison Council Chambers. That's all. Thank you, Dr. Heelan.
Thank you very much, Ms. Prasad Madaka. And next we come to the public comments. I'd like to know how many would expect to come to the microphone.
I think you have board members.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Board members open comments. Sorry. Any board members wishing to make any comments? Seeing none, we'll go on to the public comments. And I'd just like to know how many people would like to come to the microphone and make a statement. If you just raise your hands just to give me an indication so we know. Okay, so.
4, 5, 6, yeah, just give 6 minutes.
6 minutes. Okay, so it's open for public comments. If you just raise your hand and you can come to the microphone and give your name and address and your comments, please. Thank you. Yes, please.
Hi, good evening. My name is Tao Liu. I live at 84 Sherman Boulevard, Edison. First of all, I want to thank the board and the board members for another year of hard work. I never know the meetings took so long because the more I involved, the more I found it's really, especially every one of you are doing this for free. So that's something, there's no argument. So I want to thank you for another hard work year behind the scene. Also, I think there's still some teachers still there. I want to congratulate them, and also still want to just verbally express how much I appreciate them. Actually, there are a couple of teachers. They were my kids' teachers, so I'm so glad to see them being recognized. And I also had the opportunity to be there and visit and to witness that. So it's really a great evening. And the third one I want to say is I do want to mention there are 2 educators. I want to bring their name, Mrs. Miller and Mr. Hart. I heard a lot of great things about them and their passion, their dedication, and the most important, they do have a heart for education. So I'd like to ask the board to reconsider to extending their contract. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's okay. Hi, Gina Alcade. I'm on Mount Pleasant Avenue in Edison. I would also like to say thank you for your time and everything that you do for the school and the children, and thank you for the opportunity to speak, and let's see how it goes. So I come here tonight to express my opinions and concerns about the board's decision on the non-renewal of Kathleen Miller, our principal at JMI. 2 years ago, Mrs. Miller walked through our doors with, number 1, a passion and vision to teach our children in an exciting and engaging classroom environment that offers multiple learning styles to ensure that each child is capable to excel, and 2, an enthusiasm for excellence that I have yet to see in any district employee. Ms. Miller has an open door policy and welcomes comments and concerns from all teachers and parents. She is certain to tell you her thoughts and ideas, address any problems, and collaborate to work on a resolution. As a parent of a 4th grader, she has not let me down. My son went from a poor classroom environment last year to one that he is now thriving in. He went from dreading to go to school to actually wanting to go to school and enjoying learning. I can also speak on behalf of the JMI PTO board for which I have been a member of for the last 4 years. Ms. Miller has been nothing but wonderful when working alongside the PTO. She's always there for us during our meetings, providing updates on what's going on in the school and asking if we have concerns. She's requested that teachers put blurbs in their website referencing what's being taught in each subject for that week so that we can say to our kids, "What are you learning?" And when they answer nothing, we actually have something to talk to them about. She's repainted the hallways from a dingy color to a bright color, creating a more upbeat atmosphere when you're walking through the halls. She hosted walkathons to help raise money to refurbish our battered marquee and plant shrubs out there so that the school is represented well. She's changed arrival and dismissal procedures, making for safer entry and exit. And the list goes on and on. She also always boasts about the staff and how they're interested in helping and hosting events for the kids and parents. This year, the teachers hosted JMI's Got Talent, which the kids thoroughly enjoyed. They've hosted parent information sessions prior to our PTO meetings. And they've hosted math, science, and reading nights so that parents can go and get a better understanding of what the kids are learning, how they're learning, and what parents can do at home. So it was really shocking news to hear that Mrs. Miller wasn't renewed. And all I could wonder was why. What is the board seeing and hearing that we are not? When talking with other parents, the consensus was the same. Mrs. Miller is a fantastic principal and an educator with a passion and enthusiasm to support our children and ensure they succeed in school, and that we do not want her to leave. And there's a lot of parents here to support Ms. Miller tonight. I think it's hard for a lot of people to stand up and say something. I know they're here, and I don't know if you realize that they're all here for us, so I'd like to ask if you're here to support Ms. Miller, please. So my next question was, if you also think Ms. Miller is a great principal, raise your hands. I think that's, we're going to see everybody's hand raised. I'd like to stop here, but honestly, if I have the opportunity to speak, I feel like I have to get my whys out. And I don't mean this to be, negative in any way to you, but when we're told that we don't know what the reason is and we can't be told, I try to respect that. But when that's our answer, at least for me, I'm a person who asks why all the time. I question things all the time. These are my questions. I had an opportunity to meet with a board member, and I got some insight into Ms. Miller's, non-renewal, and my mind was flooded with questions. Does this have to do with her review from her supervisor? I don't think so. Was it a grievance or a complaint from someone that worked for her? Maybe. If so, how many complaints are there? Is it one or multiple? And I wonder how devastating could the issue be for the outcome to be a non-renewal? Does this issue have to do with the fact that she comes from out of district and we're being pressured to promote from within? Why should we restrict our children's leaders to only a limited number of candidates? Does the issue have to do with the way Mrs. Miller educates our kids? Or is it simply a disgruntled employee angry about change, or maybe being challenged to do something different than status quo? If so, is pushing teachers to make changes and do their best something that she should be punished for? I believe we should all have people in our lives that challenge us. Challenge is what changes us to become better at what we do. And Ms. Miller does that for JMI. She has the educational background for this job. She exudes the love for learning and teaching, and the passion and drive to help the staff obtain their maximum potential, if we let her. We have a petition that was started, and it was only...
Excuse me,
yeah.
We have a board policy, 6 minutes at maximum. Okay, so if you just wrap it up.
Sure. So I also wonder why it is that in my 7 years at JMP and JMI, I have only witnessed BOE reps at less than a dozen of our PTO meetings. In my opinion, this is a fantastic opportunity to see the school, meet the principal, learn how the school is run, and of course, find out what parents think about the principals and staff. And if it's a matter of being invited on behalf of the JMI PTO board, we would like to invite any member of the Edison Board of Ed to any and all of our PTO meetings and events from this point on. And lastly, I wonder, has anyone reached out and discussed the problem directly with Mrs. Miller, allowing you the opportunity to hear her side of the story prior to making your final decision? I wonder, how did the board come to this decision? How much time did you spend deliberating this issue? And did everyone agree that whoever and whatever brought this upon the entire JMI community was unforgiving enough to warrant non-renewal?
Okay, I think I'll have to cut you off now, so another minute over. So anyone else? Thank you very much. And if anyone else would like to come up to the microphone and speak, please give your name and address.
6 minutes.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Say one second. I'm sorry. You'll be able to speak in a second. I'm the board attorney, and I said this on Wednesday night as well. And I think certainly the board. I want to just say something on behalf of the board. The board members are certainly listening to all the comments that have already been made and the ones that will be made. But it's important to note that the board is restricted from speaking publicly about personnel matters. So as a result, the board isn't necessarily able to respond as much as I'm sure some members wish to. I know some members wish to. This is obviously an issue that brings out a lot of passion in people. We can see that, but don't blame the board. Blame me, the lawyer, for telling them that they're not supposed to speak tonight. Because although they can say certain things, obviously we can't get into the details, and that's not just to protect the board. That's also to protect the individual's privacy. Okay, so I just wanted to say that before the next speaker. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Gomati Shankaran, and I have with me my husband Krishna Kumar. We are residents of Edison, and we live in number 5 Lavender Drive. I have my son Advik, who goes to James Madison Primary, and though we feel lucky to live in such technology-oriented schools and a community which helps and fosters technology in kids, we would like to express our concerns about the use of Chromebooks at school and as well as home. And kids are exposed to technology, and the tools available are great, but sometimes they get addicted, and we are not in favor of that. And we did some research in other townships as well, and most of the other schools, they focus on writing skills, which is very important in primary school, apart from kids' exposure to technology. But we feel that our kid is kind of being addicted to Chromebook and games. So we would like to express our concern that if the Chromebooks can be limited to the school and not to home, it would be better. Thank you. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to express our concern.
Thank you very much. Shakti. Is there anyone else who would like to just come to the microphone? Good.
Hi, good evening. My name is Shen Bao. I live in 84 Sherman Boulevard, Edison, New Jersey. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. I would like to make a suggestion. So basically, we heard of the two principals contracts, right? We also heard the attorney, there's a school policy or the BOE policy. But is there any way we can increase the decision-making process, like how the decision was reached, and who conduct the performance review? And we heard the vote, but who brought the vote to the BOE? Yes, we heard the news, but we try to figure out what's going on. Unfortunately, there's very little information to us. So maybe in the future we can increase, maybe put some policy, increase the transparency of the decision-making policy, decision-making process. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak, please come to the microphone.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for all your hard work and time to all the board members. My name is Pei Jiang San, resident at 10 Boxwood Circle. The reason I'm here tonight because I don't agree the recent decision of the board to end the contracts of the two wonderful principals to the Linden Elementary School and the GMI. I heard a lot of wonderful things they have been doing for the schools and the kids. They are performing their duties. They are great educators to me. Personally, as I support both of them, I would like to ask the board to reconsider the decision. If not, as a taxpayer, I would like to see an explanation for that. Thanks. Good night.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak, please come to the microphone. Name and address.
Good evening. My name is Sao Bin Wu, and I live in 43 Parker Road. My son, he is in JMP, and he's going to move to JMI. I heard a lot of good things about the principal of JMP, Ms. Miller. I think, based on what I heard, she is a good principal. She kind of share vision, share goal with students, with teachers, and she's accountability. And she build the environment and culture in learning and focus on learning and then build a relationship with the teacher. So, and also I think she also did a good job to show her leadership and also focus on setting high expectation for employees and for students in learning. So I think those are good attributes, good characters that we are looking for from a principal. However, I'm a little bit surprised and shocked that she will be stop her contract. Her contract will be terminated. So I'm thinking maybe the board will consider to renew her contract, or maybe the board could tell us what kind of process, say in the future, we have another principal, like parents like the principal, teachers like the principal, children like the principal, but for some reason we don't know the principal has to go. Is there any process that we hold to go through the process to make decision if the principal should stay or should go? Is any criteria the board agree to make decision? And what's the criteria? And what's the process? Are they public? Is it possible they can share with us? I'm not sure about this. Maybe lawyer can tell me, is this public or not?
So I appreciate you you asking me that question. You know, it's always difficult, personnel matters, because there's so much information that is considered when decisions are made, but it's so little of the information can actually be shared other than the final status. That's not just a board policy here, that's state law. And that's, again, not just to protect the board, but it's also to protect the employees. So, you know, most decisions, most processes with public entities like boards of education are public, which is why we have these meetings. At least, you know, the action meeting once a month and the caucus meeting where, you know, the agenda is set and discussed in more detail. That's the Wednesday before, you know, today being the Monday. But there's just, with personnel matters, it's just one of those very sensitive areas. So again, please don't mistaken the board's silence on this for, you know, the board not caring or not listening. I think everything that everyone said tonight is important to us. as a body, but we can't comment, and that's largely because of my advice, not because they don't want to comment.
Yeah, I understand this is a closed session, and this decision was made behind the door. But I wish the board could listen to us to take our opinion into consideration and rethink the contract and rethink the renewal contract of Ms. Miller. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to come to speak, please come to the microphone, name and address.
Hi, everybody. Board of the Education. My name is Tony Patel. I live in 1 Mark Close Court, Edison, and I am the 72 district. I am the committee man for last 10 election. This is my 11th election. My main 2 questions I have. The first of all, schools are renting in the certain community. Sunday, Edison High School been renting by the different community. Why the prices are different than the other community? That you have to find out. Please let us know. There are Indian community wanted to rent the schools. Sometimes they don't get it. Sometimes the prices are very high. So you have to make sure everybody has the same right, same rent. Second thing, does the Board of Education in your committee, do they have a right to interfere in the political when they are member of the Board of Education? Do they have a right? They do the canvassing, they select the people. One of the worst things is going on at the moment, and we are taking care of the Keith Hahn, chairman of the Edison Democrat, is into it now, and there are so many people. They are involved in doing the canvassing from your team. Do they have a right to interfere in the Board of Education, in the election?
I'm sorry, what is the question?
The question, does your member has a right to interfere in the election when they are sitting on the Board of Education? Any member has a right to do that?
Does a so let me just repeat your question back. Does a Board of Education member have a right to interfere with an election? Is that what your question is?
That's correct.
Yeah, every board member is a private citizen, so they also have a right to be involved in elections.
Yeah, but doing certain things, like they goes to talking to all the people and involved in a politics when they are not the member of the committee. You have to take notice this is getting worse day by day.
So to answer your question, your board members, like any other member of the...
In your staff, in your committee, there are 2-3 members are involved in that particular. And we need particular this answer. I'm going to talk to the Keith Hahn, who is the chairman. And it's going really bad. It's hurting the community. Thank you. And is there any way I can get the answer, or you can give it to the answer chairman by a lawyer?
Yeah, just what is the outstanding question, so make sure I understand? It's to are Board of Education members able to participate in elections? Is that what you've asked?
Yes.
Yeah, the answer is...
They have a right?
The answer is yes. Board of Education members...
They have a right to involve, to go to the people and talk to them?
Yes.
They have right?
Yes.
All right. As far as I know, they don't have those rights. By the election committee, they don't have a right.
So just so everybody, so Board of Education members have almost all the same rights as anybody else. The only place where it's a potential concern, and there's a famous letter to the editor decision, which involves the School Ethics Act. And the School Ethics Act is what governs the ethics of board members. And there's a decision that talks about if a board member is going to write a letter to the editor, which I have also interpreted to mean posting on social media, for example. They should also say that they're doing so in their personal capacity, not in their official capacity as a Board of Education member.
But then they are using the Board of Education's name.
No, that's my point. They're allowed to do it. They're allowed to do it if they say that although they're a Board of Education member, they are not doing it in their capacity as a Board of Education member.
Mm-hmm.
They have to be open about the fact that they're a board member. If they're writing something on say a letter to the editor, if you wrote a letter to a newspaper, for example, or if you're posting on social media, my advice to the board, and we've talked about this before, but at least with different members, is that you have to say, yes, I'm a member of the Board of Education, but no, this opinion reflects my own and not the opinion of the whole board.
I lived in Edison for 42 years. And I'm the committee man for last 20 years. I never heard these kind of things before. It never happened even before. This is the first time. So you to make sure this time it's getting worse.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to come to the microphone and speak? Name and address. Thank you.
Mansi Mathur, 1 Lombardi Street. I am here to add one more thing to our grievances about Mrs. Miller contract not being renewed. We started a petition on the behalf of JMI community 3 days ago. We already have 97 supports from parents saying that they really like Mrs. Miller and her contract should be renewed. If you allow me, I can read out some comments that they placed on the website. So one of the parents has written over there, Mrs. Miller was a great principal. She was very approachable. She was actively coordinated teachers and parents. She addressed our grievances. She did great job with the parking lot safety in the snow time. She's personally present to greet our kids during the drop-off and pickup to ensure their safety. Our kids thrived under her tenure. She addressed all our concerns. I don't want to see her leave. Our school needs a stable leader, which I see in Mrs. Miller. It would be a great loss to let such principal leave. She's a great principal. She does a good decision for the school. She made really good changes in the school for the students and the kids to make their routine easy. We support Mrs. Miller. As an Edison resident and a parent, I support good principal that work for our kids. She's good, responsible to the school and the students. It is unfair to us if BOE dismisses her. I am signing this because we want to respect good teachers, good principal, and better school system for Edison. Mrs. Miller is an incredible principal and even better person. She has gone above and beyond for every student at JMI. My word can't express how grateful I am for all that she has done for my daughter Zara. I ask for your help and please reinstate Mrs. Miller. Mrs. Miller has served as a great principal. Our children deserve stable and dedicated teachers who genuinely care. Frequent changing of principal is unfair to the school and the student. We would like Mrs. Miller to stay and continue with good work. I'm signing because I see that Mrs. Miller cares for the safety of our children at JMI. She questioned my child's aftercare when she felt that kids were being squeezed into a small room. It may not be a popular move, but I was thankful for her concern. Mrs. Miller, JMI principal, is a great, hardworking principal. I'm signing this petition. Mrs. Miller has been wonderful throughout the school year. She's doing great and awesome principal. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak may come to the microphone, give your name and address. Okay, seeing none, we thank you all for coming and appreciate your comments. We have been listening to what you say. And also, we would now need a resolution to adjourn to the privileged session. Mr. Michaud.
Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975, permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, And whereas this public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, now therefore be resolved by the Board of Education of the Township of Edison as follows. 1, the public shall be excluded from discussion upon and action upon the herein specified subject matters. 2, the general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is as follows. Attorney-client privilege discussion regarding advice with respect to a potential litigation. 3, it is anticipated at this time that the above stated subject matter shall be made public at such time as the need for non-disclosure no longer exists, and 4, this resolution shall take effect immediately.
Okay, Mr. Erico, Mr. Brescia.
Mr. DiStefano?
Yes.
Mr. Brescher?
Yes.
Mrs. Peng?
Yes.
Mr. Erico?
Yes.
Mrs. Madiker?
Yes.
Mr. Shi?
Yes.
Mrs. Ward? Closed session?
She said yes.
Mrs. Maroney?
Yes.
Dr. Heelan?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay, thank you for coming, and we will just go into executive session, and we won't have any public session at the end. Thank you.
We likely won't.